I guess now let's talk about the gay beams. Gay beams, you say? Well, there's some kind of Christian nationalist pastor who has this bizarre theory, and maybe he's saying it half jokingly, but he kind of seems to believe it, that getting scanned at the airport can make you gay. Here's the clip.
Where was the Constitution when the Patriot Act was passed? Right? I mean, give me a break. Like, I had to be molested at the airport to go to Florida, right? Just to get on an airplane, because I'm not going to go through the gay beam machine. I didn't let CJ do it. I wouldn't let him do it. Said, you're getting patted down too, buddy. I don't want them turning you gay. It appears having a guy touch you all over the place is on its face seems worse. But you don't really know what those things are doing to you. So
where the imaging goes, or what they're doing,
because it's like
what they're doing in the back room.
They can just take a picture of me
sort of
naked. Like no
virtual adrenochrome system back there.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. So
Once again, I don't know if he's kind of joking, but it seems like he's concerned that someone is going to take the scans and, I don't know, pleasure themselves in the back or something. It's like, first of all, isn't the scan like a skeleton? I mean, that's a weird fetish. And secondly, I mean, I don't want to be mean, but if you're watching the YouTube version, you'll get it. Kind of guy's got kind of a sloppy dad bod. He's kind of like a husky guy with a big, I don't know, like Turkish looking mustache or whatever. And it's like, really? I mean, who knows? There's people who are into quote unquote bears out there. You're probably somebody's type, but he really thinks like it's a real concern that people are going to find him so irresistible that they're going to hold on to his airport scans as FAP, material. And they quickly mention adrenochrome at the end. I couldn't quite catch what they were talking about. Once again, I don't know if that was meant as a joke or not. I've talked about adrenochrome on the show before. I'm a Hunter S. Thompson fan. One of my favorite movies is the film adaptation of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, starring Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. And of course, they talk about adrenochrome in that as well as in, the original book. And it seemed like Hunter S. Thompson, I think he pretty much admitted, he built this mythology around adrenochrome, which is an actual substance. But he kind of came up with this yarn that, you got it from harvesting it from a human body, etc. And then conspiracy theorists, Pizzagate types, etc. would take that and run with it. And just as a brief refresher, adrenochrome is a compound that's made by oxidizing adrenaline, aka epinephrine. And there was research on it, I believe, between the 1950s and 1970s, because it was believed it may have possibly been the cause or a cause of schizophrenia, which I believe ended up not being the case. I remember talking about this on the episode I did where I really went into it. In A Clockwork Orange, it's referred to as drenchrome. Yeah, then here's the quote from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There's only one source for this stuff, the adrenaline glands from a living human body. It's no good if you get it out of a corpse. And Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame was the director of the film adaptation, and he's also stated that Hunter S. Thompson's portrayal of the substance in Fear and Loathing was fictional. And so I found this story or clip. I think I've mentioned it on the show before. There's a blog I like called Joe My God, where they kind of aggregate all these different stories about kind of religious extremists. Yeah, and so it says, Isker and his co-host are part of a Christian nationalist community in Tennessee they call quote-unquote heritage Americans, where women are kept barefoot and pregnant just as Jesus wants. And that's, yeah, I don't know. The part about being barefoot and pregnant isn't in quotes, so I don't know if that's true or if that's part of the opinion piece. Yeah, I guess what the guy says, after which his co-host suggested that TSA scanners magically transmit virtual adrenochrome. Okay, if only. If only they could transmit drugs into your system at the airport or elsewhere. But these are weird dudes, so they're Christian nationalists. But at the same time, it seems like they're trying to copy the kind of bro format where they're sitting around and joking and shooting the shit on a podcast. Very strange. So it's hard to know what they're being serious about and what they're not. But anyway, one last story. So this one's about another kind of wingnut pastor. This guy's name is Shane Vaughn. And I just noticed there's an older article or video about him, which says, and this is from 2021, televangelist. God told me to tell you that vaccines will quit working. He's furious about all your sodomy. God doesn't like anal and blowjob. Can I say that? Why'd I go there? It's his fault. He's the one thinking about it. But this one, the story I planned on covering, the article is entitled Pastor, Trump Tariffs are part of End Times Prophecy. And this clip was originally well over 3 minutes long, but I managed to whittle it down to about 2 minutes and some change. Hopefully you don't get bored by it. I have to admit, it's a little boring, but it's wacky in that fundamentalist evangelical kind of way. So hopefully it's at least kind of strangely entertaining on some level. But either way, here it is.
You are living in Liberation Day for America. You may not know what that means. There are very few times when the world changes. On Liberation Day, the world changed. It will never be the same. You're becoming part of a new world order. Not in a bad way. The order of the present world is being shaken by a man called Donald Trump, the breaker himself. There's few men that change the world, but when they do, the world shifts. You're standing in the shift. Donald Trump has gone to war with Babylon. It is prophecy being fulfilled. Donald Trump has been raised up by Yahweh to destroy globalism for his beloved America. There's a reason for that. Yahweh divided the nations at the Tower of Babel and declared they would never, ever unite until the Son of God returns and sets up his government, his one world government here on planet Earth. When I told you earlier, you're living in a moment of a changing world, that was not hyperbole. That is a fact. If you don't start buying American, you're not going to be buying. And when you understand that these tariffs, they are not just policy, they are prophecy. You've got to get that deep in your mind tonight, because now that globalism is dead, it is literally Trump against the world. He has turned the world upside down, and now the nations are clamoring. Everything is unbalanced. And I know mainstream media thinks that's bad, but they couldn't be further from the truth. This is the bold judgments coming up on the world. Yahweh has raised up a man, the breaker himself, to bring to pass those things that must happen in the end time.
I feel like I don't even need to say much. This guy either views or pretends to view the world through a fundamentalist, literal, extreme Christian lens. So to me, as a secular person, it's freaking nonsense. But if he means it, it's scary. If he's just a grifter, I mean, he still sucks. But there was one part I liked where he said something like, "You're standing in the shift." It reminded me, I'm a fan of that old Glenn Danzig band. It's like a horror punk band, or kind of like what do they call it, death rock maybe. But I don't know if I think he accepts either pronunciation, either Samhain, like the Celtic festival, or Samhain, but they have a song called The Shift about turning into a werewolf. I think it says you're caught in the shift. So, anyway, definitely not what that guy intended, but that was the one thing I enjoyed about that. And that's very bizarre. Usually I wouldn't make fun of someone for their tchotchkes. Is it tchotchkes or tchotchkes in the background? But I noticed, very strange. So you have this kind of fundamentalist Christian pastor. And in the back, he has a bunch of Toto stuff. And I'm trying to figure out, is it Toto the dog from The Wizard of Oz? Or is it Toto the band? Because on the one hand, he has a gold statue. Isn't that idolatry? I don't know if he's worshiping it, in fairness, of a little dog in a basket. Looks like Toto from The Wizard of Oz. And then he has an I Love Toto mug. But then he has a sign that says Toto Tonight Live. And if it's the band Toto, it's funny. They have that song, about the rains down in Africa. I think it's just called Africa. And it's weird. It's one of those songs. There's a few songs like this. Like, I'm in a band, have been since I was a teenager. I'm a music junkie. I absolutely love music. I have a very kind of eclectic taste in music. I listen to all different stuff. But there's some songs that are almost like too emotional. And I don't like the way they make me feel. They make me feel too much emotion. And that song Africa by Toto is one of those. Like, it comes on the radio and I feel too strangely vulnerable. And I feel like the elevators in hell probably played that song. And what the hell was I gonna say? Anyway, so this guy's really into Toto, either the dog or the band or both. Maybe Toto is his fursona. I don't know. And it's funny, I mentioned editing it down, and one of the parts I edited out was him talking about the Statue of Liberty. And he kept referring to the Statue of Liberty or America as a little lady. And it made me cringe. And I was thinking, the only time people should be allowed, it's fine. I can't stand Bill Maher anymore, but here's a new rule. The only time someone can say little lady is if you're in a cowboy movie. I recorded this episode back on the 14th, and it's now the 17th as I'm editing it. And I just wanted to add, because you have the guy admitting that Trump is kind of turning everything upside down, but viewing the world through his right-wing fundamentalist Christian lens. He views it as a good thing. But as a secular and arguably more or less sane individual, I myself don't really care for all the upheaval and turmoil that's going on right now. And speaking of tariffs, I woke up this morning and saw in the news that Hong Kong is suspending the shipment of all packages, I think within a certain size range, small packages, write your own jokes, to the U.S. Hong Kong Postal Service halts U.S. parcels on tariff quote-unquote bullying. Hong Kong will stop official postal services for goods to the U.S. as the city follows Beijing in hitting back at Donald Trump in a trade war. And what caught my attention about this is I used to be a real kind of tech junkie, still kind of am, but, expensive habit. I ain't got the dough for that, at the moment to constantly be upgrading my gadgets. But I remember back in the day when I needed to have the newest iPhone or the newest iPad, I would always follow the tracking. And most electronics I would order would come through Hong Kong. So I was just wondering what kind of effect this is going to have on electronics bound for the US, not to mention many other kinds of goods. We're living in crazy times. It's going to be, should I say, interesting or maybe nerve-wracking to see how this all plays out. But I think that's gonna be it. Relatively short one this week. As always, thank you so much for listening. You guys know the drill. You can like the Facebook page. You can follow the show on Twitter or X. I'm on there more than I used to be, but kind of as a lurker still. If you'd like to support the show monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/theweekindoubt and help support what I do. Why'd I go into that accent? For as little as 99 cents a month. All right, brothers and sisters, until next time.